All right, man. Once again, it is time for the best time of the week, man. And what's that, Lionel?
It is time for this week's episode of Off the Top Rope.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not doing it already, please make sure you're following us on Blue Sky. Proph's on there all the time. There's a lot of stuff that goes up there. A lot of opinions, a lot of very accurate opinions, by the way. We've been right about a lot of things, which we're going to talk about a lot in this episode. But again, if you're not following us over there, please make sure you do. On top of that, if you're not on YouTube already, if you're not one of the YouTube warriors, please make sure you are listening to us on Podbean and Spotify. You can listen to us on the go. You're in the car, you're going to the gym. I don't know. You're playing 100 hours of Path of Exile 2 and you need something on in the background. Throw us on. You can listen to us there. But that's it. Prophet, tell us more about the YouTube.
All right, guys. If you haven't, I know a lot of you haven't. And so if you haven't right now, click on that like button. It for sure helps us out. And also, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button so you get the notifications whenever any of our shows goes up, which is, you're listening to Off the Top Rope right now, which, we talk about pro wrestling here every week, mainly AEW, and soon, when we get more time, New Japan, and also the OVA, where we talk about anime, and the Command Grab, where we talk about video games and what we're playing, what we're looking forward to, and any kind of rants that we have. So, hey, man, strap in. You subscribe, you get 3 podcasts. It's great for everybody. So, yeah, subscribe, hit that bell button, and of course, let's get to the show.
Man, this week in AEW, like I don't know what it definitely felt like a really big week. Like a lot of stuff happened this week on both shows.
Yeah. It almost felt like a pay-per-view build-up.
Didn't they say we do have Grand Slam, but I feel like they said that it wasn't a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to pay for it. But I mean, with the stuff that we have announced on that card now, I think we only have 2 matches announced. Already looking like a fantastic card with those 2 alone.
Yeah, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, it's on Sunday. It's on a Sunday.
I think so.
Yeah. So
February 15th.
It might as well be treated like a pay-per-view. Wait, right?
It should. They're going to be in Australia. They're going to be in a big arena. Like, this definitely should be a pay-per-view.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. So they're going to beef up that card. And, another thing AEW has been doing the past few weeks, they've been announcing all their big matches for, like, the next 2 to 3 weeks of shows. And I think that's been really, really cool.
It's been so nice because they used to do that a while ago, like years ago. And then I don't know what really happened. They went to like on Mondays they will release everything. Now it's nice to know that in like 2 weeks we're gonna see Swerve and Ricochet in Atlanta. Like it's nice to we see that build, we see that going. I don't know what made them stop doing that, but I'm happy they're doing it again.
Yeah, and the other thing I like that they do in the is specifically the beginning of Rampage, where they hand over and they have all the people like talk their shit before the show starts. And so, this week on Collision, it was like Samoa Joe talking and stuff, and then it was the Patriarchy and Nick Wayne. Yeah, like that whole thing where it's like in the beginning, it just gives that whole different feel of the show, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm. That's something they used to do also back in the day on Collision, right? Like they used to do that all the time, and then they stopped doing that also for whatever reason. I think once the TV deal came up, they started doing all that again, which has been really nice. And like you said, it gives Collision a different feel.
Yeah, it gives Collision that feel of we're fighting today. There's nothing but fighting going on this show, and this week's Collision, that is for sure the case.
Oh, it's my favorite show of the weekend. It's probably one of my favorite collisions like of all time. I can't think of that many collisions that are better than that one. Like the only one that I can think of off the top of my head, and it's for one match, is for that FTR Bullet Club Gold match from like a year ago. The 2 out of 3 falls tag team match.
Yeah.
That's the only collision I can think of that was like on par with this one.
Yeah, yeah. But compared to that whole show that happened on Collision this week, yeah, I don't think it matches it.
And we gotta, before we even get to the shows, also we gotta talk about like the different feel that AEW has now, because you know AEW is doing they're running like the different arenas now, the smaller arenas, right? So they're all jam
Yeah.
packed. Like every show like feels hot. Like you know how last year we would get like a decent card and like no one would really say anything, the crowd would kind of suck, right?
Uh-huh.
It feels like since the TV deal we've had, since they've also gone to these like smaller arenas that are a little bit more unique also, it just feels like
Yeah.
the whole crowd is like engaged. They can use more camera angles too. Like everything just feels more like a bigger deal since the TV deal.
Yeah. Funny enough, you know what it feels like?
What feels like?
It feels like um all of the so if you go back and you watch like, you know, wrestling from like the 70s, right? 70s, early 80s and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They used to do that same thing. Go to the smaller arenas, with but it would also at the same time feel massive, like it's a massive crowd. But it's like a small arena and everybody's engaged. It feels like that, which is a great thing.
It's been so good. It's been so good. Like once we actually get into Dynamite, we're really gonna talk about that with that opening segment that we got.
Oh boy, yeah, man. Opening segment was good. Dynamite overall was a pretty good show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Um, yeah, there's on both shows there's a lot going on. So yeah, man. You know what? Let's just get to Dynamite right now.
Oh, let's get into it.
All right. So Dynamite starts out, and we have in the ring, good old Tony Schiavone. He actually remembered the names of the two guys in there this time. Um, I'm gonna give him shit until he gets it right. So the first two people in the ring actually, first person came to the ring was Will Ospreay, and then we get to hear the good battle cry music, the good battle music, which means Kenny's going to war. So battle cry started playing. Kenny comes out. They spent $1 million on pyros, and it looked fantastic. And he came to the ring, and him and Ospreay, whew, the beginning of this didn't start so hot for, it didn't start so hot for Ospreay, okay? Because there is you know, Ospreay said something that pissed off Omega, and Omega took the mic. He's like, I don't remember the last time we were in the ring against each other, and we weren't coming to blows. And Omega was quick, real quick to remind him. I'm gonna quote it. He's like, stop. You said you didn't remember the last time we faced each other in the ring. Let me remind you, it was Forbidden Door, and in that match, not only did you drop me on my head, but you stabbed me in the head with a screwdriver, the same one Don used months before. And it makes you no better than him. And you did it all because you were trying to prove you were better than me. Not only do I believe not only do I not believe you were better than me then, but I also don't believe you're better than me now. Number one is standing in front of you. If you're here to apologize and ask for my help, the answer is no way, bruv. And there's a little part that they cut out of that little thing, but he said Osprey was number two. How does it feel to be number two when I'm back?
Mm.
Now that I came back. I'm like, whoo, he kind of lit him up. And before Ospreay could retort, Don Callis came out. And as soon as Don Callis came out, it was on site. Kenny Omega went down the ramp and was going after Don Callis. And then, then the fighting began. Takeshita and Fletcher came. They blindsided Omega. Ospreay, he was trying to stand back and let it go down, but Fletcher came out, so he's like, "Nah, fuck this. I'm gonna get me a piece." Ospreay comes out, and they start fighting throughout the arena. Even the murder machines, they were fighting them. They put Lance Archer through a table. It was just complete chaos. They were fighting off the murder machines and Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. And it got to a point where they climbed up. So Kenny Omega climbed up one area. He did a moonsault onto, I think it was Cage. I think it was I think it was Cage and Takeshita.
I think
he
so.
did the
Yeah.
moonsault on, and then Ospreay did the moonsault to the other two, and plus security. Like they made sure they had a shit ton of people under there to take that fall. And at the end of it, pretty much Omega and Ospreay, after fighting with, fighting as a team against the Don Callis family, Omega's like, I don't know why I didn't trust you in the first place. So, hey, Callis, how about me and Ospreay versus Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher at Grand Slam? So, yeah, man. That shit, that's how you begin a show, man. That shit, whoo, that was so good. That was an excellent way to start the show. What do you think, man?
I feel like we're all going to be biased, and I think it's justified because we had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in the ring together doing a talking segment, right? Granted, it was also a fantastic talking segment, and it was probably one of the best ones AEW's opened up with in a long time when they did the talking. But yeah, it's just those two were just on another level, and you say it every week, but it's so nice to have Kenny back, and Kenny's being a cocky dick. Like it's perfect. Like Kenny's coming back. Yeah. He knows he's number one. He's telling everyone that he's number one. He's reminding people, and it just works so perfectly. And then it leads into this tag team match in Australia, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And not only is Kenny Omega reminding everybody he's number one, Don Callis is reminding everybody.
Oh, yeah. Every time he's on commentary, he talks about it.
Every time he's on commentary, he's like, yo, Kenny Omega was probably at 20. Kenny Omega not focused won 3 world titles at the same time.
Not focused and half dead.
Yeah, like half dead pretty much. So this Kenny Omega is focused and he's fucking angry. It is way more dangerous. Yeah, that shit's so good, man. Like, but I don't know. Like, even with being on Max and everything, I do feel AEW took a different turn the second Kenny Omega got back. Just the product feels different. It's just there's a different feel to the product the second he came back.
I mean, just knowing he's back there, it feels like the show is just different, right? But realistically, everyone on these shows now is just on another level right now. Like audience, when you're listening to this, when we go through this card and low key the Collision card also, just listen to the star power that goes through on these shows now. That wasn't a thing like this time 2 years ago, right? Like, it's just everyone's on another level. And plus, again, when you have Kenny there, it just elevates everyone again. Because you have literally one of the best wrestlers of all time. And he's back. He seems like he's like 100%. Maybe not like 100, but killing it. So it's just going to feel great. Like, no matter what. Because it's Kenny fucking Omega.
Yeah. It's Kenny Omega. But, yeah, man. Yeah, what a great way to start the show. So, right after this, we had Moxley backstage with Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir. Moxley talking more riddles, but he was talking about how he put Cope to sleep. Well, no, he said Cope went to sleep in 2011 and woke up in 2025. Basically, him saying when Cope went out, he was the same guy then that he is now. That's literally what he was saying. And he's like, yo, when I break your neck, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And, you know, that's it. So right after this, we had the AEW Tag Team Championship match between Private Party and the Hurt Syndicate. Whew. This was a great match, by the way. You know, beginning of it went the way you thought the beginning of it was. Private Party was getting the shit kicked out of them. But they were doing the thing that Private Party does. One of the things Private Party does best. Fighting from behind and trying to win. So as the match went on, you know, Mark Quinn, Zay, they were fighting back. But they couldn't fight back enough because Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin were just too much. They were way too strong. And ultimately, what was it? Bobby Lashley covered Zay, and that was it. And it was after a spear. And then, you know, that was your new AEW Tag Team Champions. I will say, though, there's something I caught on to, like, right in the beginning, as Private Party was walking to the ring. What was it? Not Mark Quinn, Zay. Zay had the stink face.
Yeah.
He had the stink face. He had the Britt Baker stink face going.
Yeah,
it's like, hey. And Quinn was trying to play it off. He was, you know, doing his normal thing, but Zay had, you know, he was upset that they were losing. It's like, I get it. You see this match, though, everybody was behind the Hurt Syndicate. That's you know, for them, it put them in that unfortunate position where they didn't really get a title reign. But at the same time, there's another team that's just way more, like, the popularity of the Hurt Syndicate is just ridiculously up there. So it's just it just puts them in a weird spot, right? Like, I don't know, like, the best way to say it. It's just it puts them in a spot that there's like there's no way they were gonna win. Just no way. Like, even just logically, there's no way unless they cheated or something. So it's unfortunate, but that's you know, that's how it goes, I guess.
I have a very unpopular opinion on this one, obviously. Like, if you've heard me talking on this podcast the last couple of weeks, I put this more on AEW than Private Party.
Yeah.
Private Party had the same problem that Daniel Garcia had at the beginning of his TNT title reign that they fixed because they put him in the ring more. Private Party won the titles in a really good match against the Young Bucks. the crowd was very much behind Private Party during that match too. Young Bucks did everything that they could to make sure that Private Party, Zay, and Quinn were in a very good position to take off. And then they were not in the ring. Like, they didn't wrestle. Like, all they did was have the titles on them and go sit, like, not even at commentary. They didn't even talk on commentary either. Like, nothing. And then everything that they did, they were in the background of. Like, they had 3 title defenses, right? The first one was in a 4-way where they were just sitting in, like, a private lounge watching everyone wrestle for them, right? When the main story, the thing that drew everyone to that match was what was going on between Top Flight and Lio Rush and Action Andretti. So that was done. And then they do the title match against Lio Rush and Action Andretti, which was a good match. But, you know, they didn't do anything for it. Like, I don't like to be like that, oh, they should build things, because you don't have to build everything. But they didn't really have anything. Like, Lio Rush and Action Andretti had more beef with Top Flight than Private Party during their tag team match, right? Then they're not in the ring again. And the next time they get in the ring, they get demolished twice by the Syndicate, who are very much over right now, which, you know, they're gonna be. Like, they're three of the best wrestlers that have one of the best factions that never got a chance to be in front of a crowd, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely put this more on AEW, because AEW didn't put them in a position to be at least rivalry cheered with the Syndicate, because it could have been a thing. They just put them on the back burner, and it's sad. You know what I mean? Like, we've all talked about it. We all knew this was going to happen. Even me being delusional last week, we knew this was going to happen.
Right.
I definitely do wish that, like, Private Party got a better shot, and it feels like that was a definitive enough to where they're not going to get, even if they get another title shot, I mean, not beating the Syndicate, right? And now on Collision, we have a new babyface team that we're going to talk about there that's more over now than Private Party was. So that's over.
Yeah. Well, see, there was multiple issues, right? Like this, even if they built up Private Party and, you know, the same match happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
They still wouldn't have had it. They would have been. This was one of those situations where there was nothing they could do that would have put them past the Hurt Syndicate. Like, they got put up against the Hurt Syndicate. No one cares. No one cares about Private Party at that point.
Yeah.
Like, they could have put the Acclaimed at their highest against the Hurt Syndicate. The Hurt Syndicate would have you know, everybody would have been screaming, we hurt people and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing. Even with a proper build, it would end up the same. Like, there's nothing they can do about it. It's just like the star power on the Hurt Syndicate is way too high, right? But I'm not saying it's too high. I'm just saying compared to Zay and Quinn, it's not like it. It's not even close. So it was going to happen, but you know, like, now if they happen to go through that new tag division that's been being built up, they're going to have to go through. So let's see. The Hounds of Hell, the Murder Machines, the Outrunners, FTR. Let's see. Gates of Agony. Well, maybe not the Gates of Agony.
Oh no, the Gates of Agony had a really good showing, bro. They're up there now too.
Okay, so Gates of Agony. Shit, I'm gonna throw the Infantry in there because I like the Infantry. The Infantry, god damn it.
You can throw FDR in there. The Young Bucks when they come back. Depending on what happens with Kenny and Ospreay, that could be a thing too. Like, there's too much.
There's too much. So, okay, let's look in the scenario. Okay, they beat the Syndicate. Those tag teams that I just mentioned, they end up in the same spot. Like, it was kind of they're kind of screwed either way. Like for Private Party, it's unfortunate, but Private Party is always in that spot to where they can always pivot that team, no matter what. You need them to be serious now, like now versus before. Before they didn't have they didn't have a championship, they didn't have a title, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't former tag team champions. They were on the chase to get the title. So when they lost before, or when you sell them in a match, you're like, Private Party might win. But now they're former champions. That changes things. That means they can get to the title. That means whenever they're put in a match, it's serious because they are former tag team champions. No matter what, they're former tag team champions. You can't like discount that.
Yeah, even if the run was bad.
Even if the run was bad, right? Like, who do they have to beat to get the tag titles, though? Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Young Bucks. Young Bucks ran through everybody. So it's not like they got it from nobodies, right? They got it from the Young Bucks, who I think held it for damn near a year at that point. So they can always be slotted to be tag champs again.
See,
but they're going to have to go through that meat grinder of the tag division now, though.
see, if it was 3 months ago, I would agree with you, right?
Yeah.
Right now, Private Party lost so much steam because of how bad this tag run was. Like they were never the focal point in their tag matches. And now going back to it, this might be like overthinking it now for sure, but it feels like AEW knew what they were gonna do, right? Like they knew that, we'll give Private Party like this is gonna sound gross saying it, but they're gonna give Private Party the WWE feel good moment, which is what they did. They beat the Young Bucks to get the titles, and then did literally nothing with them. And I feel like they knew that I'm pretty sure they knew that the Syndicate was going to take these titles, right? So like, they got the titles, they got their feel good moment, we're gonna move on. And I feel like that sucks for Private Party. And I don't know now, with all these tag teams built up, that they might be, I'm not gonna say they're gonna be as bad as Top Flight. I don't think they'll be that bad, but they're definitely like on the back burner. They're definitely on the back burner of the division now. Like they're definitely not like Top Flight levels of back burner, but I mean, with all the team that you listed, right, including some of the ones that we made up, like that ones that may or may not do anything, right? We don't know. Yeah. We don't know how they're gonna stack up anymore, because now the division was basically dead when they picked up the titles. They did nothing with the titles, and now we have a very, very exciting tag team in Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, right? So I don't know. I think we'll have to see what happens, but I think if we're gonna get a Private Party tag team run, I don't think we're gonna get one in a while. It's going to be a while before we see that happen again, if ever.
I think we'll see it again. I think they're always going to be in contention, no matter what. They'll get that. They'll get that rub of being the former tag champs, you know. So they're never out. They're never going to be out. They'll always be somewhere in the contention. Now, whether they get to the top of the contention or not is a different story, right?
Yeah.
But they'll always be there. And, if they happen to get to the top of it, they'll, they could probably make a run and win it, or, maybe not. Or maybe the story here is they lose it, they have to go through that hell of a tag division now to get back to the Hurt Syndicate, and now they're good enough to beat the Hurt Syndicate. You never know.
I'll say it like this. If we don't get anything from Private Party before Grand Slam Australia, we can call it wraps, at least for a few months.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
But if they put them immediately back in the thing and they're fighting, I think like they're going to be that team that's just always there, right? Like you can't get rid of them. Like no matter what you do, you can't get rid of them.
we'll see. Like I said, I've been saying what I said on the podcast already, right? I'm still am going to be upset that Private Party didn't get like a real shot of a run at the tag titles, but we said we needed a change in the tag team division, right? And if there's going to be a change, the Hurt Syndicate can do that, right? So I think we'll have to see where this goes. Like I'm assuming we'll see the Hurt Syndicate on Wednesday, and we'll see where their next steps are.
Yeah. I'm real curious to see that because there's so many people and so many teams now. So we'll see.
I just have a suspicion that those AEW Tag Team Championships will be a little bit more visible, and we'll have a lot more to see with them now that they're on the Hurt Syndicate. I'm just gonna guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, if MVP Bobby and Shelton Benjamin have anything to say about it, yeah, they'll be on TV a whole lot more.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Like I think the match was really good. It's just like I said, I'm still going to be sad about Private Party. Like they didn't really get like a fair shot, and that's I blame that more on AEW than anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. They did not get a proper run like that. I still feel like that 4-way should have been them taking all those guys out by themselves.
Oh yeah,
those could have just all been one-on-one matches, right? And they would have been fantastic one-on-one matches. Have that fucking Top Flight and Andretti and Leo Rush bullshit be its own thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is now. It's its own thing now, but we didn't have to use that 4-way to build that match, right? They could have built it somewhere else. And then still had Private Party go through all of those guys.
They definitely could have been like workhorse tag team champions for sure, yeah. Instead of having like two defenses where they're in the background, But, it's neither here nor there. I think at this point now, we know that the tag championships are going to be in a good place with the Syndicate, like with the Syndicate having them, right? Like we know they're know they're going to be featured a lot more. We know all the problems that we had with the tag team championships in the tag team division over the last like 8 months are more than likely going to disappear now that the Syndicate has them. So it's just about seeing where they go and seeing who's in contention, seeing things like that. We'll just have to wait and see. Like, but no matter what, like I've been spouting a lot of shit. It was no matter what I say and no matter what I feel, the right decision was to give the tag team championships to her Syndicate. Like that's like no one can argue that at this point. You can't. You would be delusional if you legitimately say that Private Party should have like won this match and moved on, because it wasn't gonna happen, right? Like this is just facts.
There was no way. Like, especially like I could have seen it if like I could have seen the argument if Hurt Syndicate came out there and they were like, and they were doing the match and the people were going crazy for Private Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it brings up more of a wait, hold on. Private Party is, they got something here, right? But when the whole crowd is like 100% Hurt Syndicate, it's really hard to be like, say that was the wrong decision. It wasn't.
I think even if like my situation came out where Private Party had like this great run for like the last couple months, and they were cheered and the Syndicate was booed, I think no matter what, the Syndicate takes it, right? Because they're right now, as much as everyone's cheering them, we talked about this on the podcast before, they're still heels, right? Doesn't matter how much people cheering them. Like, we're cheering them, we're singing their songs, we're doing all this stuff. Bobby Lashley saying he's like the nice guy on Hey EW and stuff like that. They're still the heels, right? So I think no matter what the situation was, they were gonna like Private Party was in a dead end. The second that Bobby Lashley came out there and the Syndicate came out there and said that we're coming after tag team titles, it was a wrap. And I love playing delusional on here. I do it all the time, and it's fun, right? Because it's fun to do it. But realistically, we knew what was gonna happen. The second that the Syndicate music came on, while Private Party was out there, we knew exactly what was gonna happen. Everyone did.
Oh yeah. It was It was over at that point. Because like everybody looks at it as like there is no goddamn way they're beating the Hurt Syndicate.
No. And like I said, I was gonna be the only one that beat the drum, and I did. I did my damnedest, but we all knew what was gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
I hope people don't expect me to come on here and be delusional, because as much as I like playing stupid on the podcast, sometimes I'm not a fucking idiot. We knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh boy. So okay. Well, let me course correct real quick.
Uh
Let's get to the next segment.
huh. I told you, man. I told you. I warned you.
So, no. So we both went off on that one, so it's fine. So next up is Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett's coming to the ring. Uh, I don't know. To me, it's always comical him coming to the ring and being all like, "I'm gonna get the world championship" and stuff like that. We all know it's gonna be like the Rowan Hart Cup. Every time he says he's gonna get it, he's gonna get his ass kicked. And what did he do? He said he's gonna challenge Jon Moxley. Well, you know what happened? Claudio came in and beat his ass immediately, just on site. Like, just know, anytime Jeff Jarrett says he wants the world championship, on site, he's gonna get his ass kicked. So it ended up, Claudio was like, "Yo," he had the mic and he was walking out. He's like, "Hey, nobody gets to Jon Moxley without going through me first." And he told him, he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you some advice. Stay out of our business." And he's like, "Hey." And Claudio started walking out, and he's like, "Hey, Claudio, turn around. You know me better than that. You're gonna have to kill me to stop me. Jon Moxley is my target." And he's like, "What about this? I beat your ass next week, and I get my world title shot." Claudio turned around and was like, "This motherfucker really is Jordan. He really wants to get his ass beat." So he's like, "Hey, interesting proposition. I'll see you next week. I'll be prepared for Jeff Jarrett to get murdered next week by Claudio.
Oh yeah.
This is not going well. It's not going to end well for Jeff Jarrett." But yeah, did you have any thoughts on that segment?
I feel like the only thing that I'm curious about at this point now with this is going to be the fact of how MJF is going to get reslotted back into this, right?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people saying like, "Oh, they're taking a break because people didn't like the segment last week," or I don't think y'all should watch the show, because Proph's gonna talk about it later. We'll talk about it then, but that's definitely not over, right? And
no, it's for sure not over.
Oh, for sure no. Jeff Jarrett's gonna get his ass beat this week, and we will see how they recross in a couple weeks. But yeah, I have nothing else. We all know, again, like I said with the Syndicate, right? We all know where this is going.
Yeah. And yeah, if you don't think if you think the MJF and Jeff Jarrett thing is over, it's not over. Like, once I get to the segment, I think it's a couple segments after this. First thing he says is Jeff Jarrett, right? Like, the first thing MJF out of his mouth says is he talks shit about Jeff Jarrett. It's not over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so like, my idea is Jeff Jarrett might be about to win, and MJF comes in and fucks it up. So, and make sure he doesn't win. And then he's gonna be like the week after. "See, if you would have made the deal, I would have hit Claudio instead of you." That's where I see that going.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Claudio's gonna need any help for sure, right? Like, no. I feel like MJF's gonna sit out. He's gonna sit out there. He's gonna have he's gonna be on commentary or something. Well, maybe not. He talks a lot of shit on commentary, but he's gonna be out there somewhere. He's gonna be watching on the screen backstage, and he's gonna do his whole MJF thing, right? Where he's gonna laugh at Jeff Jarrett and stuff like that. And once Jeff Jarrett gets his ass beat, which we expect to happen, we're gonna get like a segment between MJF and Jeff Jarrett saying, "Oh, I told you, you should have listened to me." But either way, No matter how it goes, we have the same result. We know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we know what's gonna happen. The fact that most people don't see this thing every time Jeff Jarrett says he's going to do something, it's going to end very bad for Jeff Jarrett every time.
Yeah,
Just like the Owen.
the Owen. There was a time where him and Jay Lethal trying to go after the World Tag Team Championships. Remember when everyone got so upset that Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal got like 4 different cracks at the World Tag Team Championships? That was a thing, right? They never won them then. Like, there's a lot of examples. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and all 4 of those ended horribly.
They got their asses beat every single time by
Every
like
time.
three by
They
like
won,
three different tag teams.
They won. They kind of won the title once, and they figured out that they cheated, and then they lost.
Yeah.
But they won and lost in like the same match, and so they all ended horribly. All right, so right after this was Swerve versus AR Fox. This match was fucking good, man. Every time those two get in the ring, they are, because they've been in the ring against each other a million times before. They're so good.
Mm-hmm.
AR Fox is excellent. Um, but yeah, man, like, mostly in this match, like, it was a back and forth match between Swerve and AR Fox. Like, Swerve would get some offense, AR Fox would get some offense. They would both counter each other. There was, there was a point where AR Fox tried to do a 450 splash. Swerve dodged it. Swerve hit AR Fox with the house call. And then he hit the swerve. This is at the end. And then he hits the swerve stomp and he pins AR Fox. During the middle of the match, um, asshole Ricochet was trying to come out and interrupt. Prince Nana chases him off. And tells Swerve to handle business in the ring. So Swerve wins, and then on the after. Oh, okay. So Nana chased Ricochet to the back. Swerve wins the match, and then on the screen, Ricochet is talking crazy like he has been the past few weeks, but he's holding those golden scissors up to Prince Nana's neck. And pretty much is like, hey, you lucky I ain't going to do nothing with this right now. I need you alive at this point. And it pisses Swerve off. And then Ricochet leaves, and it's of course them building up and leading up to their match. Um, but yeah, that was that, and then immediately it went to a Chris Jericho minute,
Ugh.
and there was only one good thing that came out of this. So it's propping up Hobbs even more. They're like, hey, we fucked up and we failed to take out Powerhouse Hobbs last week. Literally, he took out the whole team. So they blame it on Big Bill, and they're like, "Yo, Big Bill, what are you gonna do about it?" And you know, Big Bill pretty much called Hobbs out. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be there on Saturday." He's like, "Hobbs, I'm coming for you." By the way, that was a big mistake.
Oh yeah.
After this, MJF comes to the ring, and like I said before, immediately, what is the first thing he says? Cut my music, Jeff Jarrett. Literally the first like 4 things he says. He said, got my music, and Jeff Jarrett is in his name immediately. Guys, it ain't over.
No.
So, um, MJF is basically still pissed that Jeff Jarrett said no, and he was like, yeah, I offered you the chance because you'd be the easiest to beat, of course. Um, and then he talks about, oh, you think you're going to just hot shot your way to the AEW championship? He's like, no, Claudia's going to beat your ass next week. And then we're all going to laugh at you, pretty much. And as he was talking, Hangman Adam Page's music hit. Hangman is going to the ring. And, MJF is looking around like, hey, what the fuck? What the fuck? And Hangman Page got in the ring. And as this whole time, I'm sitting there saying, MJF, you better get the hell out of there. You don't want any of that. You don't want Hangman. You do not want any of that.
Yeah, bro. That's all problems. No.
You don't want any Get the fuck out of there. You don't want none of Hangman. Hangman, like, as soon as Hangman got in the ring, he told MJF to get the fuck out. MJF was trying to be all tough, and he's like, get out of my ring now. MJF was like, thought about it for a second, and then he left. And then he was, trying to back up, looking at Hangman. And, the guy in the ring his name is Tyler Shoop, local talent.
Victim.
And he got killed in like 20 seconds. Hangman just did a lariat and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and that was it. And then he picked him up and I think Hangman should just put the Angel's wings in his arsenal now. It looks so good when he does it.
Mm-hmm.
And he did the Angel's wings to that guy. And then he leaves, and as he's going up the ramp, Christopher Daniels comes out. He's like, yo, man, I don't want to fight. He has, you see Daniels now, he has the neck brace from the fight from the week before, and he pretty much told Hangman, he's like, yo, after that Texas death match, I was, the doctor told me I can't wrestle again. So, he's like, hey, you win. And he's like, so this is goodbye. I'm sorry. Hope you can be happy now. That was the first time Hangman's face changed from anger to sadness because he was upset that he ended one of his friends' careers. So it's the other part of the, okay, how far am I taking this? I took this to the point I ended somebody's career type deal. So still the story of the main character, Hangman Page.
And let me tell you, the Hangman fans ran with that. I'm pretty sure they're still talking about that literally the second that we're recording this right now. They're dissecting everything. They're talking about everything. They have lost it. They're like, he's coming back. He's coming back. He's coming back. Relax.
It's still Vengeance Hangman.
Oh, for sure.
He just won't kill him as bad now. That's all.
You want to know when Hangman's going to be healed and fixed? There are certain people who became tag team champions this episode of Dynamite, right? One of those people happens to have a history with Swerve also, and they've kind of split and gone their separate ways currently, right? Now imagine Hangman is at the beginning of this arc. His face changed. He looks like he's upset about what he did, right? He's remorseful. He has a little bit of regret. Imagine like 2 months down the line, after Swerve and Ricochet is done, and after another feud is done, they cross paths again, right? And then something happens to where they get attacked by the Syndicate. And they have to work together. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out. Who knows? Hangman will be fixed at that point. Hangman will never be fixed until him and Swerve can at least, at bare minimum, get on the same page. They might not have to fight with each other. I don't think they have to do all that. But there has to be like some kind of reconciliation there before Hangman can change back to being the cowboy that we all know.
Yeah, it's a story of Hangman. This story is a long burn, so we're gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen, overnight. So it's gonna, Hangman's story has been fun to watch, man.
It always has since day one with AEW. It's been great.
Yep.
And then we gave flowers to CD last week. We already talked about how that was. It's official now. Like, he is retiring from in-ring, which is crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that is crazy. But hey, he's going to be in the back. He's talent relations now. I think we're in good hand.
Oh yeah. Oh for sure.
Let's see. So right after this, Renee was with Mercedes Monet, and you know Harley Cameron in the middle of the interview. Harley Cameron interrupts and starts playing the guitar, starts singing, and challenges Mercedes for a match. For a match at Grand Slam in Australia. And Mercedes is like, no, you haven't won a match. Like, get away. Go somewhere. Harley's like, oh, well, damn. But this was after earlier in the night, her and Toni Storm were talking, and they got completely Aussie. They went complete Australian. So yeah, that's the only way I can say it. It's just they went complete Aussie. That's what they did. Um, and pretty much Toni Storm was like, "Hey, why can't you have a match there?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, why can't I have a match there?" And that's what she challenged Mercedes Moné. Um, so right after that, we had Jamie Hayter versus Julia Hart. Let me tell you, this was well, Jamie Hayter versus Julia Hart 2. This was better than the first one. A lot better than the first one. Julia Hart's back in it now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, her and Jamie Hayter went at it. That's all the way I can say it. Them two went at it. They got a little time for this match. Um, but Hayter hits the Haterade, gets the win. And after the match, she's pretty much like, hey, if you're ready for part 3, let me know anytime. Let's see. And let's see. Our next one, we had Hobbs. Hobbs was, pretty much responding to Big Bill. He's like, hey, Jacksonville's where I got my start. He's like, you won't have to look far to find me. I'll be in the parking lot. And he was for sure in the parking lot in Collision. Just say that.
We will talk about it.
Right after that, Swerve, went to the next one with Swerve and Swerve and Nana. Nana's still a little shaken from earlier, and Swerve is pissed. He's like, "Hey, you think you're bad? You think you're a bad dude with them scissors, huh?" He's like, "In 2 weeks, I ain't gonna have to chase you. We're gonna get in the ring, and the Ryan will get his rodent." Um, and then he's like, I might catch you sooner than that. So you pretty much tell him to watch his back. And then after that, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart pretty much said Malachi's gone. And so like, fuck that guy, he's gone. We're on our own. We're gonna do all the things we want to do, and the way we're gonna do it is violence. And it was pretty much like, hey, because of him, we got held back. It's kind of what they were saying. Pretty much what they were saying.
Low key, it like everyone did it, right? Like even we didn't talk about the thing with Julia and Jamie at the end, right? Where she also gave like big props, like everyone else has, right? So everyone knew. There's a bunch of even I seen the reports, and I don't even like the wrestling news, right? Wasn't really well liked, so they're moving on.
Yeah, well, he's gonna go back to where. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do that in this one because we got a good episode of Dynamite, so I ain't gonna bring it down by talking trash about the person or the company. It's just, hey, if he didn't want to be there, glad he's gone. Glad he's gonna go to where he wants to, right? And then be in catering for the next 5 months.
Agreed.
But
All I'll say is I'm not gonna go there. All I'll say is it feels like AEW is doing a good job getting rid of a couple people who may either not be liked in the locker room or really want to go. So,
Yeah.
more power to them.
Yeah. They're getting rid of him slowly but surely. There's one that's still lingering. I don't know. They won't let him go. He's screwed.
Finish that contract, my boy. That's it.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, there's two of them.
'Cause-
Finish. One of them stop listening to Conan and finish your fucking contract. The other one, stop talking trash everywhere.
Yep.
Like everywhere you go, you're talking shit. So stop talking shit. Maybe you'd be favorable. Stop saying no. Maybe you get somewhere. I don't know.
They got a few people back there, right? We're not going to list them. I feel like if you listen to this podcast at this point, you know who they are.
Yeah. But let's get to that main event.
Mm-hmm.
The main event was the rated R super. I said superstar.
Got him.
Rated R superstar Adam Copeland versus the Bastard Pack. You know what? I enjoy Adam Copeland matches. I ain't gonna call him Cope. I don't give a shit.
Don't worry, I'll do it. I'll do it for us.
So, because you always see that thing he talked about in what was it, the Swerve podcast, where every time he goes against somebody, he tries something new, almost like he's like he's like free to do whatever the hell he wants. He did. What the hell was it? It was like the head scissors. Something to Pack. I think it was head scissors. Like, hold on. It was a head scissors takedown. No, it wasn't a head scissors takedown. It was. I forget what it's a lucha move, and I forget what the hell the name of it is.
It wasn't like
not a hurricane roll.
It wasn't like a poison rana. Nothing like. I don't think it was a poison rana.
No, it was like a corkscrew. It was almost. Damn it! I'm gonna find a name, and probably by the collision, I'll have the answer.
Cool.
But anyways, he did that this match. And I was like, what the hell? But he got it. He got it. So, you know what? I commend him for that because every time he does something different. Let's see. So the funny thing is, what's his name? Pac won. And, well, not really won, but of course, Death Riders come out, beat the hell out of Cope, and then, Moxley comes in and puts the choke on him. The match before that point, before the Death Riders came out, it was pretty good. It was pretty damn good. Actually, Death Riders didn't ruin the match or anything. It was just, you knew the Death Riders would come out and do damage. And that's what happened at the end of the match. But yeah, Cope did some things like he did a TKO. And Tony Schiavone was like, hey, you did some kind of a thing there. He's like, I think it was Taz was like, hey, it's a TKO. Like, come on, man. Mark Merrill was doing that shit. Actually, no, Diamond Dallas did that first, but still. I don't know, man. So at the very end, Death Riders got in the ring, started beating Cope. Jay White tried to save. Jay White got his ass beat too. The Death Riders were relentless. So as Adam Copeland was getting choked out, they were just stomping on Jay White the whole time. I thought the Bullet Club Gold was going to come out or something. The way they kept panning out the camera when they were getting beat up. I thought somebody was going to come out, but no one came out. That's how it ended. It ended with Death Riders giving a beatdown. And that was the end of Dynamite. So, what did you think of this match and the stuff that happened after it?
You know what I like about Cope a lot? You touched on it too. the fact that he's doing things different. I wasn't around. I didn't get to like live see a lot of the like NWA style beat 'em up, drag down, like grounded matches, right?
Yeah.
Cope said like after the press conference for the last pay-per-view that's what he wanted to do with Moxley. Like he wanted to have like a knockdown, drag out, like old school NWA style 80s match, right? And to me, that's it. This is how that felt. It felt like one of those like slow grind them down, figure it out type of matches. And we literally get like none of these in AEW. So this was nice to see. It felt different. It was really nice. And I know a lot of people don't like seeing those kind of matches now because everyone is like TikTok brained, right? You have to jump around, you have to do all this other shit. But this was a really good match. Cope Impact did a really good job in this, and I really enjoyed it. Plus I like the end. Switchblade, why are you going out there by yourself every week, bro? You got to figure something out. Like I'm on board for you being the next world champion. I think you're going to be the one to beat Moxley. But at some point, bro, you got to get the upper hand because you have not had it at all in this entire time. You're persistent. It's dope. But you need help. That's it.
Yeah. And by the way, Cope did win. I screwed that up. But yeah, Cope won. And then got beat down.
They got beat down.
That, guys. Yeah, I agree. But is it really surprising? Because both of those, Cope and Pac, are fucking fantastic.
Yep.
They're both fantastic wrestlers. Anybody that says either of those guys are bad are stupid. Just don't listen to those guys. Cope and Pac are phenomenal professional wrestlers. Like, period. And yeah, I do feel like it's cool. Actually, here's the interesting thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more grounded, knockdown, drag out type wrestling is happening a little more often across the product now. Because you have these monstrous guys now. Right? You got Lashley, you got Hobbs, you have Shelton Benjamin, the Murder Machines. You have all these, the Gates of Agony. Those guys are monsters too. Hounds of Hell can do everything. So I don't really count them. Maybe Brody King, right?
Yeah, Brody for sure.
But you have all these monstrous guys. So now it's like slowly, we have a good mix of matches now. You got Elite Mania matches where you got two big guys going at it. You have, you have the, cruiserweight style matches. You have the technical matches. You have, I think AEW is starting to get a little more well-rounded now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool to see, especially on Collision. Like, once we talk about Collision, especially the Hobbs and Big Bill thing that goes on there, that felt like something straight out of the 80s, early 90s, man. Like, that whole segment. So, yeah. I agree with you, though. Yeah.
It's been really nice to see. And I feel like AEW really needed this, right? Like, AEW did have some things here and there, right? But it was mostly like, between people doing like a lot of cruiserweight style and Japanese style, right? We didn't really get a lot other than that. Now we have that.
Right. Yeah, now we have it all. And across both divisions. Men's and women's.
God, the women's bruisers might be crazier than some of the men's sometimes, right? You have Megan Bain, Chris Statlander, Willow is a bruiser. Who am I forgetting? I'm definitely forgetting people. But they have bruises in the women's division also.
Yeah, but they also have the mix too, right? They have the technical wrestlers, they have the cruiserweights, they have, all around like orthodox wrestlers. They have all of it, right? Both divisions have everything now.
Mm-hmm. It's just nice to see because AEW definitely needed this, right? Like, as much as I love AEW, as much as I love watching the matches, right? And as much as I enjoy chaos, craziness all the time, right? these like knock down, drag out, we are on the ground and I'm going to outpower you matches will always be great. Especially considering we don't get them often anymore. Anywhere. Like, it doesn't happen anywhere anymore. So it's nice to see like someone stepping up to do it. Because we don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh yeah, when we talk about Collision, there's a when we talk specifically the Hellhounds versus the Gates of Agony. The first like 5 minutes of that match.
Knock down, drag out. And then Buddy goes in and goes crazy.
Yeah. It was fucking awesome. So, speaking of Collision. Let's get to Collision, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. We're going to start this first match. We're going to start these first two matches pretty quickly, actually. Because, let's be real. The first one was just a tune-up. And the second one was, you know, a champion at, like, I don't know, 35% doing his thing. We'll start with the first one. Samoa Joe's return match, which was supposed to be on Dynamite, but due to, like, travel, it couldn't happen. So we got Samoa Joe versus Nick Wayne. I'm not going to talk about this one too much. The match was a good match. It was fun to watch. But this was definitely just Samoa Joe coming back, hitting some of the greatest hits, right? He hasn't been in the ring in a while. Like, being a movie star and doing all this other stuff, right? He hasn't been here. So this was just him getting acclimated, getting back into the ring. And it was just nice to see him take the win.
Yeah. After, you know, filming Twisted Metal, which I'm just going to say this right now. I know many people, I don't know. I don't think people actually watched it, but I'm just going to say Twisted Metal is a really fun fucking show. You should watch it.
It sucks it's on Peacock, right? Like, you have to have the streaming service to get there. Like, it sucks to get, but it's definitely worth the watch.
Yeah, it's for sure worth the watch. It's a really fun show to watch.
After the match, we had Kip Sabian and Christian brawl with Hook and Shibata. So again, another trios kind of doing their thing right now. Another feud going on. You have any thoughts on this match?
No, but I do think we're gonna get the Joe, Shibata, Hook trios team planted in somewhere. In that new Super Trios division that's happening right now.
the one that's silently being built up right now. Yeah.
Yeah. After we said something, but you know, yeah.
I mean, that's how it happens, right? I mean, once we get to a certain segment, we're really gonna double down on how much they listen to us, right? But we'll get there.
And toes down, man. And toes.
Next up, we had Kazuchika Okada at like 30% against Commander, right? Again, this one was kind of domination also. Commander tried his best. He was doing things. Commander got to hit a couple of his greatest hits, but he wasn't going to beat Okada. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. No.
Okada dominated. Even Jim Ross, who was on commentary, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Jim Ross was on commentary for these matches. It was nice to hear him, right? Like, I miss JR sometimes, right? But
I like JR. Like, the way they do JR in the, what is it, on the pay-per-views, when they have him for the last two matches, the most serious matches, is like my favorite thing.
Right? Like, he's a go for a reason. Like, people love his commentary so much because of how he can still build things up. He's still great. And I know he has some like slips here and there. Everyone does. But when you get JR in these big matches, he was here for the main event also and here for the first two matches.
Yep.
Nothing beats him. Whoa. Yeah, nothing beats him.
Yeah, nothing beats JR, dude. No. Absolutely not. I don't care how old he is.
Especially in these limited uses, just with him, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next segment, I'm actually going to combine the next two segments because they deserve to be talked about together. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Prophet, you mentioned it. Powerhouse Hobbs said he was going to be in the parking lot waiting for Big Bill on Dynamite, right?
Yep.
That is exactly what happened. Powerhouse Hobbs was in the parking lot waiting for Big Bill. Big Bill had his backpack on still, and then shows up and it is literally on site. They start fighting immediately in the parking lot. Like, immediately. Like, they're hitting each other with weapons. Big Bill still has his backpack on. Like, they're still doing their thing. Also, by the way, there were no other Learning Tree members here, by the way. So I'm just going to mention that now. Just remember that. They were fighting. They fought for a couple minutes. Like, they were just beating the hell out of each other before security got in there. And it got in between them. But that did not matter. Because later in the night, like I said, I'm going to talk about both these together because they deserve to be talked about together. Later in the night, after a few matches had happened, it's been a few minutes. Big Bill is in the ring and he's giving his promo. He's talking shit about Powerhouse Hobbs. And what do you know? You say his name, he shows up. Hobbs comes out and they start fighting again. This time in the arena. And God bless. We talked about it. You want knockdown, drag out? This wasn't a match. They were just fighting. This was a knockdown, drag out fight. Big Bill was talking about how he was going to get Hobbs arrested and stuff like that. That did not happen because when he took out the handcuffs out of his backpack, they were locked together and he couldn't unlock them. So whatever he's going to do with the handcuffs, we didn't see. So he just decided to choke out Hobbs with them. Hobbs starts bleeding from the nose from like a hit, and it is gnarly. Like, it is bad, right?
Yeah.
None of that mattered though. They're getting hit with chairs. Big Bill has a knee brace and he tries to hit him with the knee brace that doesn't work. Big Bill's mocking Hobbs, like trying to hobble because Hobbs had that injury. You can't keep Hobbs down though. Hobbs gets up, grabs him, clamps on with that S-grip. He's looking up at Big Bill. Big Bill looks scared to death, and they go on a ride. They go from the stage onto a set of tables, and they're both out. And this is how this knockdown, drag out, like 5-minute fight ends. Security couldn't stop them. No one could stop them. They go through the tables. They are out, and that is it. Do you have any thoughts on these segments?
Yeah, man. Like, when he grabbed Big Bill and Big Bill was shitting his pants, he looked at him and said, "We're going to hell," and he jumped off. And earlier, when they were fighting in the parking lot, he ripped off that gate off the hinges.
Oh yeah,
it was going to hit Big Bill with it. So yeah, that was those two. That segment, the whole thing, was fantastic. It just reminded me of a lot of the wrestling from, a lot of the stuff that used to happen in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it felt. Old school. It felt like old, like kind of the gritty type shit that you would see back then. So I really enjoyed this segment.
It was so good. So good. Lex Nair's backstage with Big Boom, Big Justice and Big Boom AJ. They're there. They're with Adam Cole. They do a boom. Cool. Whatever. Next up, we go to a trios match. We have the Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong versus Daniel Garcia and 2.0. Daniel Garcia, Cool Hand Ange, and Matt Menard. While this is happening, we have members of STP, Shane Taylor Promotions, sitting ringside, watching. They're heckling. It's fantastic, right? Because we saw last week we're getting more STP on AEW TV, as deserved. This match was a really good match. This was another one where Big Cool Head and Angelo Parker was coming back after paternity leave. Congrats to him and Ruby Soho. They had their baby. I can't wait for Ruby Soho to come back. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but we'll see how that goes. This was again just a match to get Cool Hand and kind of back into things. We got Daniel Garcia and 2.0 back together again. That feels right. Roddy Strong went crazy as he normally does. Roddy decided to outshine everyone in this match because that's how Roddy Strong has been over the last year, just killing everybody, doing everything and just being one of the best hands in wrestling of all time right now, just doing his thing. Of course, you expect Undisputed Kingdom to win, which they did. After the match, they shook hands. They were all nice. This was just like a nice little thing. There's no beef anywhere. They didn't do anything. Meanwhile, STP's just watching. You have anything on this one?
Yeah, well, there's one, it's just an observation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole's in shape again. He's been he's not that Adam Cole that first came in that wasn't in shape. He's yeah, you could tell he's in shape again.
I guarantee you the second I guarantee you the second he got cleared, he just wanted to wrestle again. So he did like a little conditioning to get himself up, but he didn't do what he needed to do. So yeah, for sure.
Oh no, I didn't mean when he first came back. I mean when he first joined AEW.
Oh, I see what you're
Because
saying.
like yeah, like look at Adam Cole now and look at when he first joined AEW. Yeah, no, he's back. He's like NXT Gold back. That's the Adam Cole that's in the ring now. But yeah, it was a fun match. Good to see 2.0 back together, doing their thing. I still want to see Danny Garcia actually defend his TNT championship instead of going for everything else.
Yeah.
That's probably my only gripe is just Daniel Garcia is doing everything but defending his TNT championship. It's kind of annoying.
They were doing well for a couple weeks, right? Like we had a couple Collision weeks where he went against Briscoe, and he had like another match last week that Shibata, really good matches, but then he went back to just doing everything else again.
Yeah, like no, like it's a TNT title. It needs to be defended on TV every week against somebody. Like make it. That's what like. I'm gonna go back to Miro. When Miro held the TNT championship, he was on TV every week murdering somebody. Like, and you know when I think it was, let's see, when Cope had the title, he was pretty much on TV every week, like doing his thing. And then and then it went down again when what's his name got it. What the hell is his name? Jack Perry. I won't say it went down because he didn't have a bad run, but it wasn't like he didn't really defend that title that much.
Yeah,
right?
he wasn't wrestling as much, and some of the matches were like little. Like his first one was against Marco Stunt, and as much as I love Marco Stunt, like there was no reason for that to happen.
Yeah. So I just think he needs like Danny Garcia is a fantastic wrestler, right? What I want for Danny Garcia is him to do what Orange Cassidy did to the international championship when he had it, right? I want Danny Garcia on TV every week defending that title and showing he's that good, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needs because he still has that character thing, but I don't think people have seen as how good Daniel Garcia can be, right? It sure as hell isn't going to get showcased in a 3-man match where he loses.
Yeah, if you weren't watching like before he was in the Jericho Appreciation Society, you probably don't know how good like Red Dead Danny Garcia was for sure.
Yeah,
but I feel
so
like sorry.
Let's get him into that where he's defending that title every week, kicking some ass, man. Like, because I'm just gonna tell you like something like my wife the other day, she's just passing by and saw Danny Garcia for the first time. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, that guy's a champion?" And I'm like, "Oh, you do got a point there." He doesn't look like he could do anything, right? Like he does the look test, he doesn't pass it, right? So he needs to like get in the ring and do the thing. I'm like, no, actually, I don't like. Actually, he's like one of the better technical wrestlers out there. Like, if you get a chance to watch him, he's really a technical wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
but he does not pass the look test at all.
No, he doesn't. You know who didn't? You brought him up. Who didn't before? Who raised his stock during his championship was Orange Cassidy. You already brought him up. Like, Orange Cassidy Orange Cassidy had the best international championship run of all time so far. Like, easily. Like, bar none. Like, there's no one has been better than him.
No.
And
no, not at all. That's why I'm saying Danny G needs to do the same thing.
I feel like I'm not gonna harp on it like I did with Private Party, but it's the same situation is happening with Daniel Garcia. It's the same thing, right? Like, at least Daniel Garcia is on TV more than Private Party was. Like, at least he's around, but it's the same situation. So I fully expect sooner rather than later, because funny enough, it might not feel like it, but he's had the title for 2 months. November 23rd is when he won it. Yep. I had to look it up just to make sure. 2 months. Uh-huh. He has like 3 defenses, maybe. That's just not great, right? Like, everyone has done better with this title at this point. Even if Jack Perry didn't wrestle as much, like, early, he definitely strung him up near the end. So, same situation that Private Party is going through is happening with Daniel Garcia, but at least he's on TV and at least he's wrestling. Private Party wasn't even wrestling. But that's all for that. Max Caster did an open challenge. Who cares? We don't really need to talk about that. Also backstage, Top Flight had an interview. Darius and Dante were kind of like beefing a little bit. And we're gonna get a match between it says Darius. Darius challenged Leo Rush to a 1-on-1 match. We don't know what's gonna happen. Probably next Collision, but we'll see how that goes. Next up, we're gonna talk about the segment that everyone's been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Schiavone's in the ring. This is our chance to get our very first face-to-face between the AEW Women's World Champion, Mariah May, and the number 1 contender who will be wrestling her at Grand Slam Australia, Toni Storm. They both come down to the ring. Mariah is being Mariah, like calling Toni a joke. Like, she was kind of like playing along with it on Wednesday. She definitely made sure that people knew that she was not playing with this, right? Like, she called her everything but a woman of God. Honestly, she said everything. You're a loser. You're a meme. You're a joke. No one likes you. They laugh at you. They forget about you. Like, no one cares about you. Like, what are you even doing here? And just, like, calling her, like, dumb, calling her a pawn. Like I said, everything but a woman of God. Like, everything. And then Toni Storm reacts with, people don't remember this. Guys, I looked. People don't remember this. What Toni Storm said to Mariah May was the exact same thing that Mariah May said to Toni Storm when they first met over a year ago. That she's her biggest fan, that she's seen everything that she's done from, like, Stardom and AEW, and she's an inspiration, and one day she wants to be just like her. Mariah's looking at her. Toni gives Mariah a hug, and then Mariah May decides to be Mariah May and beats the hell out of Toni Storm. Hits her with the title, hits her a couple times over the head, and then walks out the ring being escorted by security. Usually this is when the segment would end, right? This is already a great segment. But what turned this to 11 was Toni Storm picked up the microphone, and the first thing that she says, and she says it like in her timeless voice, is, "What makes you think I've forgotten?" The crowd goes insane. Like, already immediately insane. And then Toni Storm just lays into it. "What makes you think our dance is done? Each scar, every drop of blood, I will feel forever. But now it's my moment in the sun." And we said this on the podcast. I tweeted this the same day that Toni Storm came out, and she said the line that I said. I was the first one to say it. We were the first one to say it on this podcast. They say the hardest role you will ever play is yourself. But what you've just witnessed is the performance of a lifetime. Mariah May, you may be a woman from hell, but you came from my womb. And they didn't say the rest of it, but she said she's going to stick her back up her womb. And she said she's timeless Toni Storm. She's doing this while taking off her clothes, going back into like the timeless persona. We didn't get the black and white, but the crowd was going crazy. Everyone was hanging on every single word Toni Storm was saying. Mariah May had she sold it perfectly. She had the perfect, oh my God, what is going on face on her. Everyone, like I said, everyone was excited. The crowd was hot and buzzing. They were loud the entire time Toni Storm was doing this. It was just a fantastic segment. What are your thoughts on this, Prophet?
This was, again, you nailed it. It was a great segment. It was fantastic. Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm coming back. The time she was saying timeless, you couldn't hear her over the crowd because the crowd was going that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I think Daly's place is outside.
It is. It's an outside stadium arena.
So you couldn't hear her in an outside arena because the people were going that crazy. And the second she turned into her, went and did her timeless Toni Storm voice. It was over after that. People erupted, and then Mariah May was like, "What the hell did I just do? What is going on? I don't. Out of everything, I wanted to fight that other Toni Storm. I don't want to fight this one." So it's going to be real interesting what happens at Grand Slam. That's probably going to be. It's going to be a show, and if that one isn't the co-main event or the main event, there's something wrong.
I've been thinking about that, but I agree. This should be the main event. This should be the last thing that happens on the show. Bar none.
Yes.
There's right now, I even said it last week, right? The women right now are killing it in AEW. And right now, there is no better storyline than what's going on between Mariah May and timeless Toni Storm.
Yeah.
Bar none. This should be the main event. And if it's not the main event, AEW is making a huge mistake. But yeah, man, I don't want to undersell how amazing this segment was. This segment was fantastic. Mariah May and Toni Storm are both on just on different atmospheres than everyone else right now. Right? Toni Storm is just, we saw it. We saw it when she came in, right? We were immediately the first ones. We both tweeted it. We both said it on the podcast. We were the first ones to say the line that Toni Storm said. That this is the greatest performance of all time. Right? We said it. They took it literally from us. I don't care what anyone says. I know we kind of play coy about it. They literally took it from us at this point. It was just, it worked. It was just fantastic.
Yep.
But that's it. We will move on. Next up, we had a really good tag team match between the Gates of Agony and who are now being known as the Hounds of Hell. New music, new everything. Brody King and Buddy Matthews with Julia Hart. Not to get fully into the match, but Brody and Buddy are super good guys now. They're hella face. The Gates of Agony were doing their beatdown thing. They were getting booed as they should. It was nice. Buddy got beat up, Brody got beat up, but they had a babyface fire and they came back. Fantastic match. The House of Hell did win this. They got their win. We can call this the very beginning of their new era. It was just a great match. It was fun. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I thought this match was pretty fun. I think there was a few miscommunications between I think it was Toa Leona and Brody King, because there was a thing towards the end that was like, I was like, oh shit, this could go very wrong. When he was going for that, it looked like he was going for a power bomb, but Brody King didn't get all the way up. So instead of like going through with it, he stopped it. Toa Leona stopped it, and then they, did something else. I think Brody King just pile drove him instead.
Yeah,
right.
they reset. He
But
immediately did the power driver. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm glad that didn't go wrong. But other than that, it's another case where you see, because Gates of Agony, they're on Ring of Honor every week grinding, right?
Mhm.
So just like the infantry, you're just seeing, how good they're getting, from all that grinding and Ring of Honor every week, and just like doing a ton of matches, So it was fun to see.
Mhm.
It was a great match for Hounds of Hell. Both of those guys are ridiculous anyway. And yeah, man, like, it's going to be interesting to see where they fit in, especially after, something that happens a little bit later after this between Buddy Matthews and Okada.
Oh yeah. Next up, we had a backstage segment between Penelope Ford and Thunder Rosa, basically hyping up a match they're going to be having soon. We don't really know when it is, but it will be happening soon. Should be a good one. Right. Go ahead.
The funny thing about that is, like, it was almost like Penelope Ford said the wrong thing, and Thunder Rosa like snitched. Her tone changed super quick. He got super serious, like, real quick. She's like, "Bitch, do you know who I am?" I was like, "Oh, Penelope, you might have a problem next week."
She's probably happy because if the rumors are true, a certain person might not be there for too much longer. So Thunder Rosa's probably really happy right now. So she was just real intense.
Yep.
Next up, we had a 4-way. The winner of this earned a TBS title match against Mercedes Moné coming up on Dynamite this week. The women in this 4-way were Deonna Purrazzo, Queen Aminata, Serena Deeb, and Yuka Sakazaki. Before I get into the match, it's funny seeing Yuka in America compared to Japan. Because in Japan, she's like the powerhouse. In Japan, TJPW, she's like throwing women around. She's like powering people up. It's fantastic. And then she comes here, and she's not doing that. Just a random thing that I saw. It was funny because I watched the TJPW show.
In TJPW, she's like an axe murderer, dude.
Yeah.
She annihilates people.
Yeah.
She just, complete opposite.
Like she's a goddamn legend over there too, apparently. So it's just funny to see the dynamic. Yeah. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
A lot happened in this match. It was a very good 4-way match. Every woman had her shine in this. They all were doing a lot of things. There was one point where two of the women, Queen Aminata and Serena Deeb, walked out. Like they were beating each other up and they kind of fought out to leave the ring, leaving just Deonna Purrazzo and Yuka Sakazaki in. So it ended up being a 1-on-1 match for like the last minute and a half of it, where Yuka got her seatbelt pin. I forget exactly what she calls her version, like, of her magical girl, like something, and got the roll up and pinned Deonna Purrazzo. With the help, a little distraction from Harley Cameron. Because what we didn't talk about, and what's not here, is before this match, Harley Cameron was doing a backstage interview. And Deonna Purrazzo shows up. And she's like, "You want to challenge Mercedes? You haven't even won a match before, you loser." And her and Taya Valkyrie walk off, right? That's why Harley Cameron came out there. She gave it to Taya Valkyrie a little bit too. Nice little enziguri, got her out of the way, beat her up. But the little bit of distraction that she did was enough for Yuka to get the pin. And now on Dynamite, we're going to be getting Yuka Sakazaki versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship.
Nice.
Anything on this one?
Yeah, like when Harley Cameron came out and then did that enziguri to Taya Valkyrie, who was in like, I don't know, I think like 4-inch heels. And she jumped up and actually kicked her in the head. I was like, wow, okay.
Bro, we've talked about how good Harley is.
Yep. Like, yeah, she got up there and kicked her in the head. I was like, oh shit. Well, okay, Harley. The one thing, okay. I know I don't think I've ever talked about it before.
Uh-huh.
Out of all the wrestlers in the ring, right? So, like, Yuka Saki's, this is theme music, okay? So, Yuka Sakazaki's one is a fever dream. Like, this shit's nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's nuts. But there's one person in there whose theme music does not fit the person, and I never expect it every time. I think I've said it before. Serena Deebs.
Oh, have someone rapping over her theme?
Yeah, I just don't. So I hear it and I'm like, okay. And I see Serena Deeb pop out. I'm like, wait a minute. It fucks me up every time. It always messes me up.
You know what, Loki, I get it. Like, I feel like if she didn't have the lyrics, it might be fine, maybe. But I can see where you're coming from.
It is nothing wrong with it. I know whose theme music it is, and then when it comes on, and then she comes out, and I'm always like, what the fuck? Every time. Nothing wrong with Serena Deeb coming out to it, of course. It just, there's some weird disconnect in my brain whenever it happens.
No, I get it. I can see it.
You hear it, you don't expect Serena Deeb to come out to it, but she does, and I'm like, oh, okay. It happens every time she comes out. It doesn't matter.
I feel like maybe if she's on TV more, that might help, because you get to hear it for she'll be on TV for 5 weeks in a row, right? And then she'll stop for 2 months, and then she'll come back. Maybe that time is resetting it. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I just because it is a dope theme song, by the way. But it throws me off when Serena Deeb comes out. It's just, but people pick their theme songs, so there it is.
That's what she wanted. No, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Right after that, we had the backstage segment with the Hounds of Hell. Basically, they were excited that they won their match. You talked about it a little bit earlier, but Okada walks up from out of nowhere, and then he's Okada's laughing and saying that they bark like a bitch. So Buddy walks up to him and points at the Continental Championship, let's go. You put this on the line. Okada said no, and then Buddy was like, well, I guess you're the bitch then. And everyone laughed, and Okada's like, I'm no bitch. So that's going to happen at some point. Which, again, very, very good match when they did it. I think in 2021, Battle in the Valley. I was there live. Let's go, me. That's the one. We talked about it earlier. That's the show that I was at. And the next day, I had to get on the flight with a bunch of Raiders fans to get home.
God. Wait, was Battle in the Valley in San Jose?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, funny story about that.
Uh-huh.
So, that Battle in the Valley, I almost went to it. Because that was when I first... So, when I first went out there... Because that was the one with Mercedes Moné, her first wrestling appearance outside, right?
Yeah. Where they did the dance at the end, yeah.
So... That one I almost went to. That was when I went to California for that time. And people were asking me, oh, do you want tickets, to go to New Japan? And the only reason I didn't do it was because I didn't know how long I was going to be out there, or if I was going to be out there permanently at the time. Right. I wish I would have said yes and went and saw that, because like, yeah, I was literally like right there. I could have just went with everybody and went to the, went to the place. I think the place that is at wasn't that far from where I was living, ended up living anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a crazy thing. I almost went to it, but I didn't go to it because I didn't know how long I was going to be out there.
Man, you would have had a really good show live. That show was fantastic to be there. They had a lot of really good matches on that card. Like, a lot. But yeah, let's see. Where we at? Okay, yeah, so at some point we're going to be getting Okada and Buddy Matthews again. So that's going to be fun. After this, we talked about the segment already. That was with Big Bill and Powerhouse Hobbs. This is when it happened. Like, right before the main event.
Yeah.
Then, we move to the main event. I guess I should talk about the, you know what? Really quick before we go to the main event, we can talk about what happened during a Don Callis family meeting. We don't have to talk about it too much. This was where Don Callis was, again, hyping up how bloodthirsty and crazy Kenny Omega is, and that he's concerned that he is tag teaming with Will Ospreay. Brian Cage was like, hey, we got him. There's 5 of us. And Don Callis was like, who said there's only 5 of us? So we're teasing another member of the Don Callis family showing up.
Uh-huh.
We have no idea who it is. Like, no clue, but I'm guessing we'll find out the next time we see Don Callis on screen. Which is after the main event. What happened?
It has to be one of 2 people, right?
Ooh, who
so it's either Trent Beretta. It's either Trent Beretta coming back.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm guessing, here's my off the wall guess, okay?
Okay.
The other member of Aussie Open.
Oh, Mark Davis?
Mark Davis. And it's either him or Mark Davis.
I mean, that would be nice to where, Mark Davis or Kyle Fletcher doesn't leave his tag team partner behind completely. That'd be nice.
Yeah, he just completely left him, dude. It's either Trent Beretta or Mark Davis. That's who it is.
Because we haven't seen Mark Davis in a little bit. Like, they had like their little feud, like little mini feud, right? Where he was losing every single time he got in around Kyle Fletcher. So maybe he smartened up and went to the Dawn side. And that gives us that means that gives us another crazy tag team. And that means Don Callis family has 2 crazy tag teams.
Yes. So if we loop back around to the private party thing, they would have to climb through that too.
That's why they're done. It's not gonna happen for a while. I've accepted it. It's fine. So after we got the tease of the new member or returning member, we go to our main event of Collision. Personal dream match of mine, by the way. So I'm not gonna try to get too excited. But we had for the AEW International Championship, the champion Konosuke Takeshita versus Katsuyori Shibata. So this match was not long. They maybe went 12 to 15 minutes, maybe. Probably not even 15 for sure. But again, I'm saying this again, I'm very biased because Shibata is literally my favorite wrestler, like straight up. Yeah, this is a match of the year contender. 15-minute match of the year contender. They beat the hell out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
This was a really good back and forth match. If you want to say that they hit their greatest hits, Takeshita and Shibata, they definitely did. Incredible match. But, of course, we know Shibata wasn't winning here. Don Callis, though, made his presence known because he was on commentary. He left commentary, and while Takeshita distracted the ref a little bit, Shibata was about to hit a PK, penalty kick, and Don Callis grabbed his ankle long enough to distract Shibata. Takeshita then hit Shibata with the with the knee or the Blue Thunder Bomb. I don't remember at this point now. And Blue Thunder Bomb.
He beat him twice, and then he did the Blue Thunder Bomb
for the 1-2-3. Takeshita picks up the title again. Takeshita retains, and that ends Collision. Prophet, what are your thoughts on this match and Collision as a whole?
This match was fun. Like, I think they went to that New Japan. They went a little bit into that New Japan bucket, and just like they were going at it. It was a good finish, great match. Everybody loved it. Fans loved it. I loved it. You loved it. Who didn't love this match?
Idiots didn't. Dumb people did not.
Well, they could fuck off.
Exactly.
So, fantastic match. The Alpha is showing why he's the Alpha. As usual. Don Callis did his hilarious thing when Takeshita's about to lose. He looks like he's about to jump in the ring. He gets stuck on the rope. He's like, no! He just doesn't jump in the ring. Oh no, I laugh every time that shit happens.
Don Callis is probably if MVP wasn't there, Don Callis would again be the best manager. They're like 1A and 1B though, in my mind. They're both stupidly good at what they do.
Oh yeah, ridiculously good at what they do. And overall, the show overall was Collision was excellent. Like top to bottom, it was fantastic. And people complaining about, oh, they're doing all these story segments on Collision. It should be on Dynamite. No, you fucking idiots. You need stuff going on both shows. There's not an A and B show anymore. There's not this Dynamite show that's the A show and the Punk show that's the B show. No, there's none of that shit anymore. They're both their own shows, which is why they both have their own feels. They both feel different, and they both progress the stories and make stories.
Yep.
You need that for your product to grow and keep going. Stop complaining when every time they do something right and they're doing the thing that they're supposed to do. Like, I don't know where you guys keep getting off on and getting weird about this. Like, they do. This is one of the times I'm going to give WWE fucking credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do that on Raw and SmackDown, okay? Raw has its own stories. SmackDown has its own stories. They both progress their stories. And there's a story that's going in between both. AEW, Dynamite it's not like the same in that format, but Dynamite and Collision have their own story, have stories that start or end there. And there's a storyline that goes in between the shows. So they're doing everything right. Stop complaining. Like, get out of here with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my rant on that part. But excellent show.
Man, you know how people get. I'm not gonna rant. That was perfect enough as it is. You know how people get. Whenever AEW does a really good show, they have to find some for whatever weird reason, people have to find something to nitpick. And the nitpicks are always really weird. The same thing happened when, like I said, whenever AEW has like a really good show where people can't like if last week, for example, the MJF and Jeff Jarrett segment, right? We talked about it. We didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it. So a lot of people that don't watch AEW harped on that for a week, right? That's just what they do. And I don't know why people do that. I barely have time to watch the anime that I like. I don't have time to watch a show that I don't like and try to talk about it. I'm good. It's weird. They're really weird. Just ignore them. Let them do whatever they're going to do because they're all miserable.
Yeah. It's just whatever. They're gonna complain no matter.
Oh, for sure.
It's And you got those guys that will, you know, only scream at AEW. They don't scream the other way. So it is what it is. But there is a thing too. Those same guys don't call out their own company for the garbage that they put out.
No,
If AEW puts out some garbage, we're gonna call them out
every time.
100%. If it's shit, we're gonna call them out every time. That's what you get when you listen to this podcast.
Yep. We're unfiltered in our opinion. We will tell you what we like and what we don't like. Always. We will never sugarcoat anything, ever. Listen, man. You have any other thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up?
No, man. Hey, both shows were fantastic. Can't wait to see the shows coming up this week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, yeah, can't wait.
All right, man. You know what time it is.
All right, guys. Thank you once again for tuning into the show. And if you got this far, you're awesome. You're one of them warriors. You're one of them. You're one of our warriors, man. Come on. Thank you. So, with that, if you haven't liked the video, click on that like button. Helps us out a lot. Also, comment, because I know we said some things you might have liked, might not have liked, or you want to conversate on. Hit them comments. And also tap the subscribe and the bell button so you can get all of our content whenever it comes out. Thanks again. You know what time it is. We got to go. So we're out.
Peace.